Um, all right, let's do this. So what I really hoped to highlight was the language that we use. It's a lot of, the poem is called Label Me Helpless. And I wanted to speak about the labels, which is the names that we choose to throw around. It's, if I name this person a rapist, that is essentially changing my identity as well, from being an individual to being a person associated with this incident. And that makes me a victim. I think one of the things as well was that often when we get educated on these topics, we're taught, or we get educated on rape and how to avoid it, we're taught on how it can appear in our lives as a stranger, you know, grabbing you and pulling you in the bush, and that but times are not in the way that I have witnessed it. It's usually somebody that you know. So it's somebody whose name you know, who knows you, who is not a stranger, somebody who you're told that you can trust, this might be safe. It happens, it takes a moment for you to the lights on in your head to realize that this person has gone from being my friend, this person has gone from being my partner, my teacher, my uncle, to being my predator, my enemy. And that can be a very, very difficult thing to accept as a whole. Also, I wanted to really highlight the conversation around identity. Of it's a lot of acceptance within yourself. However, I think there is a great amount of fear that lives in victims of GBV and sexual assault's mind, where it's people are going to look at me differently. And number one, you don't want to be pitied, because pity is not a nice thing to carry around. I often say that rapists don't carry around the shame and the pain of being a vindictive person who did something horrible to somebody else. They go ahead, and more times than not, they do it again. And you, the victim, are the person who carries this around and carries the shame, because what people are going to ask you from this point onwards is, where were you? What were you wearing? Who were you with? What were you doing with that person? How could you trust them? And have they, you know, like all these things that you could have done to avoid such a situation. And they almost start to define who you are, because if you had let your guard down, how dare you? As a girl child, we could have been sitting in a casual setting. Well, why is she dressed like that, right? First comment. Next comment is, this is why these girls get beaten. This is why these girls get raped. Right? So, yeah, that these type of people or these predators follow in terms of identifying their victims. It's not what they're wearing. It's not who they're with. It's not what time it is. It's not who they are within themselves, because you think we would be safe when we're with our relatives, or when we're with somebody who loves us, or whatever, but we're not. So the poem really just gives somebody who's gone through something like this to say, look, here's your point of reflection. I understand why you don't want to talk about this. You'd rather stay this non-victim. You'd rather stay as somebody else who this did not happen to. You want people to identify you by your talents, by your characteristics, by your traits, by who they know you as a person to be, and not by the girl who this happened.